So tell us, who is Juliana Bohórquez?
Juliana Bohórquez is a woman who was born and has been living most of her life in Colombia, South America. I think this defines me a lot. I grew up very close to indigenous communities, and I think this has been part of the reason why I propose this kind of topics and the reason why I have been so much involved in transformational process and in bringing systemic work together with uh, nature, with bio inspiration. And so Juliana is a woman, that artist, that really believes that there are many ways in which we have forgotten who we are as humans, and who believe and has the leadership and the legacy of elders from indigenous communities, from ancestral communities. And this legacy is like a mission of raising awareness and remembering the nature of humanity. And many of my work is very, very focused on this purpose, on remembering who we are as humanity.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me all the time we talk on Dr. Peter Senge. How do you pronounce it? I heard it differently. Peter Senge, let's say, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some connection with his work, right?
I learned from Peter Senge in some occasions. I know him, and I think he has been one of the persons that really um, I I I consider him one of my biggest teachers in systemic work, and that's obvious. But what I have learned the most from him has been not in the moments of the courses or of the academic work, but mostly in conversations. And I do believe that there is a lot of essence from his work and also from Otto Scharmer's or Arawana Hayashi. I think there's something they have tried to do is to bring together art and science. And actually, in some conversation that once I had with him, was very interesting because I come from the arts, moving to systemic work. And many times it's the other way around. So it's interesting, the different, how we walk in different directions, how the information also arises and helps us complete and understand this process. And I do believe that it is very important, the process of bringing together art and science, and bringing together abstraction and concretion or
Concrete.
concreteness. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah. So how would you describe Juliana as a child?
I would say, as I mentioned before, something that has really been remarkable in my life has been the closeness with indigenous communities. As when I was a child, I was very silent. I was introvert. I was very calm observer, and I used to be very connected at a spiritual level. For me, art, I was raised without religion. So I was very open to understand and explore many different religions, but I was very close to spirituality, to our different aspects of as humans, like our senses, those senses, for example, that we are many times no one talked to us about this. And I have learned a lot through these other senses about leadership. Because, for example, in indigenous communities, leaders are not taught to see, listen, hear, yeah, I don't know, like the five senses that we're taught
Yeah.
in traditional schools. In these in these communities, in these cultures, um, as in a process of leadership, you are taught to forget those, so that the others arise. Because these five that we know so well are the superficial ones. And
Uh-huh.
this for me has to do a lot with also with art and with systemic work, because it is not about what there is. It's not about what we hear. It's not about what we see. It's about what we're not hearing, nor seeing, nor sensing. Complexity, it's about being able to forget those five senses and understand environments, to understand difficulties, to understand chaos, and be able not to understand it, because we can't understand
Yeah.
complexity, but to be able to navigate and pilot
Okay.
complexity. Yeah. So it's for me, it has to do a lot with spiritual, um, yeah, ariseness, with this that I have learned from
Uh-huh.
elders.
Okay. Is this something we are going to learn about in your workshop? Just a small
I
part,
think
maybe?
I think now that it arises, yes.
Okay.
Before I didn't thought about it, but yeah, or maybe I didn't thought about it, but it's always there. Yes, of course,
Yeah.
yes. The answer, of course, is yes, because it's the only way I see leadership, really.
Yeah. Okay. So now I got how you really became a system thinker, right? This way, quite
Yeah.
natural way. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I studied. I did when I learned about systemic work the first time. For me, it was very interesting, because for me it was like I was at the time I was working as an artist and filmmaker in the framework of the armed conflict in Colombia. And when I learned about systemic work, I realized that it was like equivalent to art from the science, because from the art and from systemic work you are able to deal with complexity.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to deal with chaos and to transform. So I was very interested, because I was lacking at the time of a language, concrete language, to explain things that I was seeing in the territories of Colombia, but I didn't have language to map. So I became really, I did a master's degree in systemic pedagogy, and then I start learning with many people, some that I mentioned as Peter Senge, Otto Scharmer, and Awana Hayashi, Jan Jacob Stam, Matthias Varga von Kivet, and many, 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 many others that I can't mention here. But I was so interested that I started trying to learn with everyone, because I wanted really to understand. Also from Maturana, I had the privilege to learn with him, for example, and I think I need to mention him because he left us not, yeah, in this month. And I think he was for me a big inspiration to bring together the way and the natural way I became a systemic thinker with the elders without knowing it, and bring it together with the science part, or the yeah, structural systemic field. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how I came here, bringing those together.